Hello everybody and a happy new year. I hope you guys are having a great new year. It's only the first or the second today. Is it the second already? Wow, this year is already going by fast. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who has been liking the content on the channel. I really appreciate you guys watching the videos, giving comments, liking the videos, and giving constructive feedback. I'm having a lot of fun so far making these videos, and I hope you guys are enjoying watching the content on this W210 Mercedes E-Class. So question number one, does this car rust? What about the rust? What about the car rusting and melting away? So yes, these cars are famous for rust, and this is something I wasn't super well aware of when I was looking for this car. But then as I was getting close to buying this car, I did my research and it said these cars rust because of the quality of the paint and not being galvanized. Those can cause issues. But if you buy these cars carefully and you find them from areas that don't use salt during winters, you should be okay. So when I found this car, this was a car from Japan. First of all, it was purchased in Japan, it was moved to Hong Kong, lived there for a little bit, and then it was shipped over here to Vancouver. Now if you don't know about Vancouver, Vancouver is on the west side of Canada, lower west side, and over here the weather compared to rest of Canada is pretty mild. It's still cold, it rains a lot, but it doesn't really snow, especially in the city. Like you can see snow up in the mountains, and for those roads they use salt and all that kind of stuff. But where I live in the valley especially, here they don't use salt at all. I shared that in my previous videos. This car came with no rust, so that's nothing that we have to worry about in this one. Second of all, this car is my secondary car. So this is not a family car. This is not something that we use to go on long trips or anything like that. So this car usually just stays within the city, within the neighborhood, and I take it for a drive if I'm going to the gym or if I'm doing errands. This is something that I take out. So it doesn't get a lot of road time, first of all. And secondly, I don't live in a place where it snows that much. When it does, it's like 2 days in a year, and then it all melts away because of the rain. So for those 2 days, I'm just gonna park it on my carport and not worry about it. And when the winter's over, I'm gonna give it a good wash, good underbay wash, and then from there we should be okay. So I'm hoping that this strategy works. I will keep you posted as we go along. Now the second comment, and this was something that was brought up pretty early in the videos, was the transmission. And they said, somebody posted, said, watch their transmission blow up after this video or something like that. And I've got some mixed feelings about that. So for me, so far, transmission has been great. Yes, it's an older car, so you should wait for the car to warm up before you start driving it, or actually, pushing it a little bit. You should drive slow as it's warming up. As it's warming up, you can see the transmission takes a little bit longer. Like it takes the gears take a little bit longer to shift, but in about 5-10 minutes, once everything's warmed up, it drives like a brand new car. I haven't had any issues with the transmission. However, I do want to change the transmission oil of this car. The previous owner changed everything and he said everything is good, but for my personal satisfaction, I want to change the oil. Now what I did is I reached out to a couple of companies over here locally that deal with that and found out some interesting things. First of all, I called the company that changed the engine oil of this car. They did a really good job when they changed the engine oil. But as soon as I asked them about transmission oil, the way they were checking how to change the oil and the information they were looking for, I knew that's something they don't do very often, especially on these German cars, so I'm not gonna go there. Then I called a mechanic, a workshop that specifically deals with German cars. And they quoted me $750 to change the transmission oil. Now, I didn't like the price, but what I did like is how they walked me through the process and told me what it entails. So now I know that when you're changing the transmission oil on this Mercedes, they have to drop the pan and they have to change the filter inside that catches any of the metal shavings or any of the debris or any of that kind of stuff to keep your oil healthy and not having you to worry about any of that stuff. So the first one didn't talk about filter at all. The second one mentioned the filter, but the price was crazy. Now the last one that I called, really good reviews. I've heard a lot about them. They only deal with specific things, so transmissions, suspensions, and differentials. So they're not doing anything and everything. They really specialize in what they do. So when I called them, they were so crystal clear on what they do, how much it costs, what the process takes, that I was like, okay, I'm bringing the car to you. I haven't taken it there, but it's gonna cost about $350. They're gonna drop the pan, they're gonna change the oil, they're gonna change the filter, and we should be good to go. They knew exactly what needs to happen on this Mercedes. So far the transmission is reliable, not any issues, and once I've changed the transmission oil, I don't drive like a maniac. I'm not planning on doing drifts on this car. Although I have tried, you can turn the traction control off, and it's a lot of fun. This doesn't have that V8 power or torque, so you're not going to be constantly spinning, but it gives you that little bit of fun that you want to have. Now, there were other comments about, hey, the parts are really expensive, but watch till you go to the dealership to get the car serviced. They're gonna charge you crazy amount of money and you're gonna regret your decision and everything along the lines of that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really have a fear of any of those issues. First of all, I bought this car for $5,000. So I bought this car at a price point where doing some mechanical work, whoa, someone was about to get into an accident. Not me, I'm focusing on the road. Camera is planted. So as I was saying, I'm not too worried because I bought this car for $5,000. That gives me enough money to put some money in towards maintenance and bring this car up to spec. This doesn't require a lot of work, but changing all the fluids, making sure everything's good to go is just a peace of mind that I would like to have. So far, if you look at this car from far away, this car has no issues. Drives great, looks great, and just starts every time I want to start it up every morning. I, to be honest, don't drive this car sometimes for 3-4 days straight, and I start it up, starts like a dream, no issues at all. Now, what's happening with people? Now, if you get really close and talk about the nitty-gritty of the car, then there are things that are wrong or require a little bit of attention. Number one, the paint. So the paint, it overall is in good condition for a 25-year-old car, but the owner who owned it, I don't think he really knew how to take care of the paint of the car. So it has a lot of swirl marks and marks that you get over years from washing the car without properly removing the dust and small debris first. So it has a lot of scratches. And then it has stone chip marks that need to get covered, and then the car needs to get detailed, and then paint will be up to spec. Not a big of a deal, it just requires a little bit TLC, which I'm planning on doing. Not gonna do it now because of the weather, but as the weather gets better, I'm planning on taking care of that. Second problem are the speakers at the back. They are busted. They sound that they have no cushioning on them anymore, so they make that crackling noise. So I've already bought the speakers, very economical. I paid 50 bucks for 2 Pioneer speakers, same size, everything. I just haven't had the time to change those, but I will be changing those, and then it will be good to go. This is not really an issue, it's a cosmetic thing, it's a little bit of a privacy thing. I would like to tint the windows of this car. It sometimes feels like you are in a greenhouse, everybody can kind of see you all around. It does have beautiful big windows, so I want to tint those. And it's not really an issue, it's not something that's broken, but that's something that I'm planning on doing there down the road. This again is not an issue, it's a personal preference. I think the car is really quiet, that's what it was meant to do. But for what I want to do and have a little bit of fun with this car and have this as a project car, I want to remove the muffler and install either an aftermarket muffler or just completely remove it to get some sound in this car. Like, this car doesn't really roar. It has a really smooth engine, it has really smooth ride. I want a little bit of that noise. So not an issue, but something that I would like to do. But that's about it really. To be honest, this car is ready to go on a road trip. I do want to go on a road trip. I live in Vancouver. I was planning on doing a road trip down to the States, a short one, maybe to Seattle or go down to Portland and film the journey and take you guys on a road trip with this car and see what it feels like to go on a road trip on a 25-year-old car. Now, I will say I have really lucked out with this car. Not all old cars, especially Mercedes, you're gonna find in this condition. One of my buddies who's bought a 30-year-old Mercedes, he's paid about $4,000 for it, and that car is going to be a nightmare to work on. It's a good project car. It has good paint, it has good interior is mint condition, but mechanically that car needs a lot of work. It needs electrical work, it needs maintenance. The transmission is jumping, probably needs servicing on the transmission, so it does need a lot of that work. But he bought that for $3,000. Even if he puts another $3,000 to $4,000 on that car, that's still gonna be a nice car to drive. The drive is great. But yeah, I have no concerns. I will share if there is anything wrong. I'm driving on bumps right now. You can feel the car has no crackling noises, no loose bolts or nuts or anything like that. The suspension is great. Hopefully you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other questions, and I can make another Q&A video on a gloomy, rainy day, because we're gonna have this weather for quite some time, and I will share more information on this car in the upcoming days. Other than that, have a good new year, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next one. Great, no issues. Transmission, you heard it, shifts just fine.